Hello everyone and welcome to yet another live coding and chill. I'm your host Johnny, delighted to be here. Hope you're having an amazing weekend and indeed a great beautiful life. Today we'll keep working on the DrawMon app and finally got the feature that inspired me to get this whole thing started to begin with. Being able to capture that I drew this Pokemon and then see your streaks and stats and all of that. So what we've been working on the past few weeks has been this who's that Pokemon functionality, because games are fun, and suddenly we found that actually playing around with this would have been quite fun. I found myself just going on my phone and re-rolling a few Pokemon and be like, oh, this one, I didn't know this one, that's pretty cool. And we've added quite a few things. I do think the cards look kind of nice. Nowadays, you can see the Pokédex entries, the generation symbol is quite cool, some other stats. But yeah, the guessing game takes a cake because turns out winning formula, cute creatures, and even if you don't know them, even if they're like from later generations, then it feels like you can see it and be like, oh, this is like a water type for sure. And since it's a double type, water dragon, let's say. Ice and rock, for sure, water type. Fail. Anyway, this is the app so far. The big thing today that we'll be showing is SvelteKit Remote Functions. We are using remote functions to fetch the data here already, so we've shown that, the query remote function, but we haven't touched form, we haven't talked about command, we haven't used pre-render, lots of cool stuff to talk about. And indeed, just to get ready for the stream, by the way, click around yourself, go to the random route. I've bought a domain, as I always do when someone converts to Johnnify Premium. I'm like, spend that money to buy more domains. So on DrawMon.app, you can actually go there and have a look at the app yourself. Let me know if it works for you. You can go through the login and logout flow. And what I've made was switch it up. So instead of Svelte Superforms, we are now using SvelteKit Remote Functions and the form helper. That we're gonna look in deeper and play around with today. So I wanted to have a sneak peek just to be prepared for today for sure. You can have a look at the PR as well, that it resulted in like half the code, and it's compartmentalized better than what you need to do with Svelte Superforms, but we'll talk deeper in more detail about that in the continuation of this stream. So more thoughts there. Our goal is every time you play like the guessing game or the random game or whatever, you can have a button that says, I drew this. And then you can go to your profile or a specific page and you can see the Pokemon that you have drawn throughout your history with this app and be able to perform update or delete operations to them. So if you look at the title and it's like, what's CRUD? That sounds bad. That's actually very standard in the software engineering. CRUD stands for create, read, update, delete. So read operations we've done already with SvelteKit Remote Functions because we are reading the data of its Pokemon. Today we're gonna do the create operation, create a record that I've drawn this Pokemon on this date, and we'll look into being able to update those records and say, oh, actually I didn't draw it today, I drew it yesterday or last week, change that, or delete that record because, I mispressed this button, misclicked, and I didn't actually draw this, or I wasn't happy with my drawing at all, so it doesn't count. I have second thoughts about it. And that will cover everything you need to do when it comes to building a modern app. If you can do CRUD, you can do anything. If you can fetch data and show them in the list and be able to do mutations on it, you're sorted. That's the job. So excited to have a look at how you can do it with the new SvelteKit Remote Functions. I think that's it for the preamble. As always, let me know if you're working on something fun or not fun. If you're working on something boring, don't keep it to yourself. Let me know. We'll we'll laugh about it, I'm sure. Everyone will feel better. So this is available live. You can click around, free as always. And this is running locally. I have the storybook version here. What I think I want to add is easiest would be on the random route. So have a button here saying, I drew this. And then we click it and we add a record. So how does that sound? And that page is the random page, this one. So I'd say here. So thanks for a tip from a friend and viewer, dear friend and viewer, about when you're on a smaller device like your phone. I've added the reroll button at the end because you were scrolling down for the Pokédex entries, and it was too hard to scroll all the way back up to the button, so I put it in there. And I'm thinking, just add another button right below there. That's gonna say draw me or whatever. So let's just make the button here, bring it in, and do this. And maybe it's a variant. It's an outline button, and we'll see about giving it some margin or making it bigger or whatever, how it's gonna look on on other devices. Let's start with this and take it from there. So with remote functions, much like before with SvelteKit, we are respecting the HTML standards. So how you're supposed to mutate data with web apps is you're supposed to be submitting forms. And even if you're trying to get data sometimes, so if you're trying to enable a filter that, I want the second page of this, you're also supposed to use a form and put the data in the URL, keep your state there. But today we're going to use forms for mutation. And in order to do that with SvelteKit Remote Functions, they have a helper method called form. When things are named the same, it can be helpful because you're like, I want to do stuff with forms, and there is the form method in SvelteKit. But when you talk about them, it can be confusing. Is Johnny talking about form, the HTML element, or is Johnny talking about the SvelteKit form remote function? So we'll have a form with a button, and we'll use a SvelteKit remote function to actually have that form magically do the operation that we want, which is say that, keep a record that we've drawn this Pokemon. I should export this into its own component, thinking about this already. So let's make it a common component because I know that at some point I will want to show it in the guest route as well. And let's say the Pokemon components track Pokemon drone form.svelte, and get this out, put this in, bring this there. It's for consistency, bring it from here. Components UI. See, I can still just about type and use this here. Great, it's back. And I don't know if we'll add like more things to the form. Like, so do we already have like an optional note that you can add, or the date? Make it more obvious what this does. I've explained to you that this is going to track that I drew this today, but maybe a new user is on this app, they won't know what it means. I was also thinking that maybe this creates a pop-up and then you see the form, but we may go with the dialogue route later. I know that people have conflicted feelings about when I start to tweak the design too much, both the visual design and the architectural design. But if you have suggestions, let me know. All right. So this is a regular vanilla HTML form, even though we're using like a sidechain button. That may look complicated, but it's not that much, just a button in the end. You can do it with a regular button, like in the example. So nothing fancy schmancy here, but what we're gonna do is create the form remote function somewhere. So where would that go? We do have a Pokémon.remote.ts file for SvelteKit Remote Functions. You need to save them into .remote.ts or .js files. We have this one which fetches the Pokémon. We could put that method here too, like track Pokémon drone. And I think that's what we'll do. I think that's a great idea. So that's what we'll do. So let's say we can see here that a form satisfies a schema, which they're using Valibot for this one, but we're going to be using Zod because we're using that elsewhere in the repo. And talk about it step by step. Track Pokémon drone. So interestingly, we can reuse that. It takes the slug schema, and the slug can be a string or a number. That's how we get the Pokémon. Maybe I'll show this. For the guess and the random route, we roll for an ID, and I have a cool RNC method that maybe you'll want to see. I need to use SvelteKit transforms as well, cool feature. Anyway, that's by the by. These are IDs, but we have the dedicated Pokemon routes, which can also take IDs, but they can also take the names as well. So that's why get Pokemon takes a union of, it can either be a string or a number. So we're not going to be using this one, interestingly enough, and track Pokemon drone. It's not going to be a query at all. So all of this is wrong. GitHub VS Code, GitHub Copilot complete has been only getting worse. But we're going to use the form helper method in the same packet that the query is, so that's good. And we're going to give it a schema. It's not a function. And the schema is going to be Pokemon drone schema, sure. And it's going to be taking an ID, which is going to be a number. I think we'll just want the Pokemon ID for this one because we have it already here. And DrawMon, which can be a date and defaults to now. It can also be nullable, I suppose. But yeah, fair enough. And we can give it the schema. I think that's it. We also need the user ID, so who you are. Although we would be able to get this from the locals. So we don't want you to tell us who you are, which user you are, because that can introduce some maliciousness that can make people do something naughty, like pretend that they're users that they aren't. So we need to derive which user you are. So yeah, I think this is the Pokemon, this is the DrawMon. Optionally, we can have like a notes. No max, that's fine. Should we have like some characters? Like how long is like a tweet nowadays? 200 characters, 400, 500, who knows? And that's optional, so it can be null, I guess. And then we have an asynchronous method, which will actually be taking data according to what you've specified in the schema. So magically, SvelteKit will populate this. Well, SvelteKit will automatically type this, for us based on the schema. I'm looking forward to this, knowing what it has. So I would expect this to be typed, but it doesn't like this for some reason. So let's double check here. Form, here it takes the validate thing. Looks good to me. Form is from app server, correct? Where query is. We're going to be using get request event to get the user. That sounds good to me. Ah, it's like this weird default that made. Or maybe not. Maybe this doesn't accept dates. So let's see, if this was a number, would it be fine? Yeah. So interestingly, I guess because it's harder to serialize the date, it's not allowing us to do the date thing in the form. Forms, famously, in real HTML, vanilla HTML, you can only submit strings, but it does look like SvelteKit is doing some coercion for us. So if you specify in the schema that this is a number, it will turn it into a number for you. But I guess date is where they draw the line. So how would I call this? Zod. The answer is just don't have the date anyway, Johnny, and move on with your life. And you can have a codec here. Yeah, let's just say it's a string, and then we can do the operation ourselves. Yeah, I suspect in the database this will be a number. So it just be like the current time. Let's make it a string and see how that works for us. So we have all of the data for the track Pokemon drone, and we should log it, I suppose. Say default to date. But when does this run? When does this run? We know that this is typed. It can have a drone at. It can have a notes. String are undefined. Great. So let's console log our data. See where we're at. So with a schema, if you don't mess around with it, how complicated it can be, it will be faster. And with a form where we pass the schema and what will happen when the form is submitted, we're good to go for this file. Now, how to use this? The easiest way to use this is you just spread it on any form, and that's it. So if we want, in this form, we just need to spread track Pokemon drone here, and that will magically populate the form with the variables it needs to actually hit the endpoint that SvelteKit will magically create for us. So if we inspect this, we should see that the form element actually has quite a few parameters made for us. Maybe just the one. That's interesting. No, so it added method post, and that the action that it's going to hit is remote equals a has. So SvelteKit does some magic to turn this into an endpoint, an API endpoint that anyone can hit in theory, but no one could, because how would you guess this? And that's about it. Nothing much. We could have written this ourselves. Besides, the handy thing is that we don't have to manually create the API endpoint ourselves. I guess that's part of the magic. Like the things it spreads in the forum, not too much. But the other thing that's cool is that if we submit now, it should have a few errors because we're not satisfying the schema at all, but we're not listing the errors anyway, so we won't see them. So issues, let's see. I suspect we're gonna see that you didn't give a Pokémon ID here. So let's see. I guess not. Maybe this is not even submitted. It says if the submitted data doesn't pass the schema, the callback will not run. Instead, its invalid fields issues method, blah, 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 with an array of messages. So I think the autocomplete here threw us off. But if we specify ID here, it will make this appear. Invalid input, expected number, received undefined. And we can say, give a message here. Is this a deprecated API? Use error instead. Sort for. Nope. Error. All right. Pokémon ID is required. So we submit this. It's like Pokémon ID is required. And we could even do a check to see is this a valid Pokémon ID. But again, we don't need to do any of this in this instance because the user will not be seeing this. The user will not be saying, oh, I drew this Pokemon and have them put the Pokemon ID in there themselves. That would only cause errors. So we'll magically put the ID field there and say so in real life we would be putting in input of type hidden and giving it the value of like some Pokemon ID 1. But with SvelteKit Remote Functions, we can just spread. The remote function will have fields ID as hidden. Is that it? I think that's correct. I guess if it's a text, it would be happy. But now, because we said that it's a number, then it wants it to be something else. So it should be like a number input and not a hidden input. But I want it to be a hidden number input and then coerce it into something. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, because we are forcing the value here, we'll actually not be doing any of that. We will be saying that the name of this input is ID and the value is going to be some Pokemon and actually be typing in hidden. I think we'll need the calendar input and to see the date to actually show what happens when you use any input that's visible to the user, and not this, maybe not the best idea in the world. So if I say value is 1 here, what will SvelteKit tell me? So apologies for copying this. Again, it messed it up. Okay. So if I try to submit 1, Pokemon ID is required, but it is here. So why would it not know this? Is it because we have this error message? Well, it may tell us. All right. So invalid input, expected number, received string, but we can query this. Let's see how that works. Not a method queries a string. It's like cannot query strings. It's pretty weird. Some things I would queries number. Still doesn't like it. For our sanity, let's say, let's expect a string. And this. Is there any other way to do querying? Transformations. So if I say transform, does it end up as a string? So this ends up as a number. So I think that's the way to go. So transform into a value. And now, all right, so it knows that the ID is a number. Can we do the same trick with date? If we have a date parset, or else just give us the new date. Beautiful. And now it knows that this is a date. We're getting there, right? We're cooking with gas. Took us almost half an hour, but we're there. Great, and we'll always have a date, I suppose. Or this will be nullable. So maybe let's transform this to. Okay. So now we actually get the current time when I submitted the form and ID1 because I've hard-coded this. But I do want to know in this form what's the Pokemon ID for that I've tracked. So what is this Pokemon? And I guess this means that I need to be passing like a Pokemon ID here. What is this? I have it here. So let's say that we have type props, Pokemon ID, that's a number, great. Let Pokemon ID from the props and use it here as the value. And now this is happy, and now we should be seeing 510. Now we should be seeing 16. Form submitted, 16. Reroll, 164. Reroll, 651. Okay, so that's good. We could make this form a bit more interesting. That's what we have in the agenda here. And that's all we need to start talking to the database. I'm just thinking, should we make this form a bit nicer? Do some like UI design. Maybe not. I'll put it later, like this SvelteKit Remote Functions episode. So let's do it later. Right, so we press the button, I drew this, the user doesn't really know what they're doing. Oh, not a number, how did that happen? Interesting. What is it when it's not a number? Pressing it again causes this problem. Ah, because the form resets. Alright, so by default the form resets, so the hidden input also gets reset. That's kind of crazy. I think that's what happens. So one thing with super forms is that you do have like more debugging options, that's for sure. So first time I press it, it works. Second time I press it, not a number. A reroll, press. Okay, press again. Not a number. So you can only submit the form once. I can only assume that it clears the hidden input or something. Something happens and we lose the Pokémon ID. Is the problem. And let's inspect this. Like maybe when I submit the form, do we really lose the Pokémon ID? Maybe that's a let's see case. So it's 10. Drew this. It stays 10. And yet, resubmitting the form makes this disappear. Rerolling makes it reappear for the form just once. So I can only imagine this gets cleared every time. Interesting. Do I need to bind this? Is that my classic problem? 9. Nope. Not a number. It's 95. I shouldn't say that this is state or derived or whether. Should I? That value is at ID. It's the Pokemon ID. Pass it here, see what happens. So submit. Submit again. not a number. So yeah, something weird that SvelteKit Remote Functions is doing is clearing even the hidden input. I don't understand how, though. Because right, so it has the form and it does a form reset and everything in there gets reset. So at the end of any form, even HTML form, you can reset it, and by default this is spreading enhance, which by default is resetting the form. It's doing like this. So let's fix this, I guess, even though we won't want people to just keep spamming the button, but hey. So what we're actually spreading is this. We'll want to show a toast later. On an error, we'll want to show something. But this is the default behavior. We don't want to reset the form. We just want to submit it. So now I suspect this will work every time. 191, press again, 191, press again, 191. Great, it works. Right, we may find a different way to go about this. The main thing is it was resetting the form. We have the form element. It even finds the hidden inputs and resets their value there. But when you reroll, you re-add the value. That's why it was working before. So weird glitch, but okay. We can resolve this in a different way at some point. Like have an effect where every time you submit the form, then you repopulate the form with just the ID, because we would want to clear the time and the nodes, the nodes field. I guess you'd want different nodes for that. So we may do something for that, but that's for later. For now, let's actually persist to the database. Let's persist to the database. I have been thinking about this. So I've been playing around with this drawings schema. We are using an SQLite database now just to store user information, your login via Google stuff, and to mirror the Poke API with our own D1 database, because I think that's kinder to that very helpful project. And now I'm thinking of adding a drawings table, which will have an ID. I was thinking that maybe we don't need an ID for the drawings, but we will need to do CRUD operations, so update and delete a drawing. So maybe just having an ID is fine. We definitely want to have a user ID, which we haven't taken out. We'll need to use this. I guess anonymous users cannot track this. Free but logged in user functionality for this one. We need to account for that. Pokémon should always exist. I can only imagine. So on delete cascade doesn't make sense. Pokémon will never be deleted, surely. And it's gonna be drawn at some point in time. It's gonna be a timestamp. Great. Created that just for our records when you actually submitted the form, I suppose. Different from when you drew this, because maybe you drew this yesterday and you're only submitting the form today. Your optional notes and a deleted at. So this is for soft deletion. I was thinking that sometimes people press to delete something and then they're like, oh no, I didn't mean to delete this. And then you may have like an undo button or go into a different folder, which are like your recently deleted stuff, and then you can restore it. The way that gets achieved is by doing something called soft deletion, where instead of deleting the records in the database for real, you actually just flip a Boolean column that says, is this deleted or not? Another way to do this is by having that column be a timestamp. So you can say, oh, this was deleted at this time. And that way you can do some sort of cleanup, like we keep this for 30 days just in case you change your mind, or like 1 day or whatever. And then you can have a cron job or something that cleans up everything that's over 1 day or 30 days or however much you decided long, because it's going to be deleted data. You should delete it eventually, but it gives you some grace period, the user some grace period to restore the data if something happens. So that's a cool functionality we'll add. We'll have a couple indexes. The user with the drawn date, because as a user I want to see the drawings I've done chronologically. And maybe we may have like a feed of people have been drawing like these Pokemon or whatever, the latest drawings that have happened for some Pokemon. So I was thinking, let's preemptively add the index here. So that's what I was thinking about the database schema. I don't think we'd need anything else. Like, this person drew this Pokemon at this time are the essential ones, and the other ones are kind of like nice to have. So with Drizzle, the way we've set things up here is that we can go into our web app and say db generate migrations. Hopefully that will work. All right, it did something. It should have generated an SQL migration in Drizzle. Queen Kernel America. So these are the columns we expect. ID column, who cares? We'll make deleting them easier. User ID, for sure we need it. Pokemon ID, for sure we need it. DrawMon, for sure we need it. These ones, nice to have. Foreign key references the user's table, and references the Pokemon from the Poke API mirror Pokemon ID. And if Pokemon gets deleted for some reason, no action, that's fine. And 2 indexes are added, user ID DrawMon, compound index, and a regular DrawMon index. I think that's fine. So we can go ahead and run this migration. mdb migrate, which will use Wrangler because we're using Cloudflare 3.1. Here, everything worked perfectly. I'm not going to be migrating production just yet. So back to our remote function, Pokemon.remote.ts. This is where we need to get the Pokemon repo from somewhere and call a method that we are yet to write, and also get the user ID from somewhere. So one of the problems we have is that if you are not logged in, you cannot actually track your Pokemon as tracked. So we should handle this case. Let's see, Pokemon here. So 2 things. If you're not logged in, then we should throw an error. Let's see what the docs are suggesting. I think you just use the error object somewhere. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Like if no user, then throw the error. 401 unauthorized. Great. But in our case, the user is in the locals. And how do we access the locals in SvelteKit Remote Functions? This one didn't know. I only found out in the chat. I would have missed this feature. We use the get request event helper also from the Magic $app server modules that the Korean form also exists in. So in there, I have put in the user. If there is no user, then throw this error. is what we want to do here. Hello, Nikita Stack. How are you doing today? Thanks for sending a message in the chat. I was starting to worry, like, did I make the stream public? Is anybody here? I might just stream it to myself. Never know. It has happened before. So we have the user, we double check whether they're logged in or not. If they're not logged in, then we're gonna throw an error. We're gonna handle this state later. But if they are logged in, then we have the payload. We have the Pokemon ID, we have the DrawMon, we have the nodes, and that's it. I guess this one, we should call it Pokemon ID. Makes more sense to me. Because we have the Pokemon ID, we have the user ID, and we have the record ID, which we won't really be using. So this one, with the type safety with the remote functions, this is neat that it knows that we don't have an ID in the fields there. So that's cute. However, I don't know if there's a way to pick like field names, because for hidden inputs like this, I would want to manually create this hidden input and say, maybe there is a way to do this. I would have wanted something to tell me that this is not the correct name. And is this it? No. That's what I would have loved to know, but that's not quite the case. Again, you're supposed to use the as, like hidden or something. Is this a string now? Can we just do it? Whatever, let's not complicate things. So I was talking about, I would love type safety here to tell me ID is not a valid name for an input in this form. Nothing has an ID. There is a Pokemon ID, you should change to that. So that would be lovely. Doesn't seem to be the case now. It is something that Superforms has, for example. Anyway, we're sending the Pokemon ID. We have all this data that we just need to add the user ID to, and then a record will be created. We haven't implemented this in the Pokemon repo, so let's go to our interface, Pokemon repo interface, and say that we have a track Pokemon drone. And instead of this, maybe we can export track Pokemon drone payload, which would be Pokemon ID is a number, drone is a date, nodes optional or undefined string, user ID is a string. Interestingly enough, and we can do this. Now that we have this on our interface, we know that our DB Pokemon repo will be throwing an error saying you haven't implemented this interface correctly. And we want to say this, track Pokemon drone, and return nothing. All right, so instead of doing all of this autocomplete, we haven't used CRUD today at all. Let's use them today. Let's use them now. Let's say read fully 1,000,000 files. Read fully this. And this. The autocomplete for the LLM prompt by another LLM is quite meta. I would also wanted to see the drawing scheme, the drizzle database. The drizzle table in here. All right. So I guess it's gonna be this db insert drawings table. Here's the payload. That's it. Writing it would have been faster, but maybe it will think of something that I wouldn't have had. No to-dos is like, I'm just gonna do this. Track Pokemon drone in both files. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Ah, it's also doing it in the remote function for us. And also added like this unnecessary thing. I've told you to do quite a lot of things. All right, so track Pokemon drone. It it made it an async method, which is what we've done before. This is the payload. We've done these things ourselves, and it's just awaiting the insert, returning nothing. Okay. Nikitesh in the chat. You want one suggestion from me? You have knowledge of HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, jQuery, and React. Beginner level. Hit me. What suggestion would you like? So should I learn Next first, or should I start learning Node.js? Well, I suggest start learning SvelteKit, because then you learn some of the HTML and JavaScript fundamentals. And the wizard is, the tutorial is actually quite good. So it's not just Svelte related. I do think if you do go through this, you don't need to go through it in like a day or like a week, or just go through it. I would suggest keep going through it every once in a while. You will learn a bit more about HTML fundamentals and JavaScript fundamentals. However, in regards to the job market and stuff like that, I would suggest, if by Next you mean Next.js, it's my second favorite framework still. So it's SvelteKit, then it's Next.js. React Router and Tanstack and all of that are making like a bit of a play here, but still I do think Next.js is used a lot in the industry as well, so it's more helpful to do something like that. And just learning Node, I don't think that has particular extra value. By doing things in a meta framework like SvelteKit and Next.js, you will be doing some bucket things. So that's why I wouldn't suggest do something like create React app, or even React Router, which has more like client-side only solutions that I see in some companies. So you can get around doing things on the backend if you go with React Router or create React app for sure. But if you do Next.js, you will learn some Node things. I wouldn't try to learn something Node specifically. Material UI, that's too old. Learn SATCN, that was a suggestion from the chat like 3 or 4 years ago. And you'll be amazed. But try not to be overwhelmed as well. Oh, SATCN. It's not the one we want. So SATCN interlude. SATCN is mainly a React framework, but we're using the Svelte version. They've recently added the SATCN directory, and lots of companies are spending quite a lot of money for things that, wow, this is much more populated than last week, that are just implemented there. companies are adding like component libraries, spending so much money to make something worse than what you get for free with SvelteCN. But yeah, so this one has some components for you which are doing front-end and back-end stuff. So if you're able to understand all of this, I'd say you're a full stack engineer. You're doing things with LLMs on the back-end as well. You're doing streaming. It's you're doing a lot, but this is not the level that you should be in today. So getting exposure to this is fine so long as you are coming to terms with some things you want to understand. You'll understand them eventually. And yeah, I like SvelteCN too. In the end, I do think by default their letters are too small. But that's the beauty of SvelteCN. You copy and paste your components in your repository, and then if you want bigger text, then you can use bigger text. If all the buttons having text schema annoys you, you just remove it and you have bigger buttons, and that's it. You move on with your life. No worries. Thanks for your cool question. And I hope it starts making sense soon. I hope, like, for one thing that doesn't make sense, you find two things that do make sense, slowly but surely. All right, so this thing, let's see what it claimed to have done. Implemented the thing that we asked, did the thing that we didn't ask about. This is the thing we asked about, did it as number 2, and then updated the remote function to actually work. So I wanted to show this, but hey. So in here, in the DB method, it's just inserting all these values. Why are you not just inserting the payload? Like, is this the line that I was afraid to write by myself? I guess so. I guess this will just succeed and say that it added one line. Great. We don't need the ID of the inserted thing, so we don't particularly care. I guess it imported the drawings thing from here. That's why I added it on the index file. And here it is calling from the Pokémon repo track Pokémon drone with a Pokémon ID, the user ID and stuff. So I will just call it with this and spread the data and move on with my life. Yeah, happy with that. So now every time we press this button, we should be tracking the Pokemon and be calling it a day. In regards to this, we have more to do. We will make this form a bit better, and then we'll actually see, are we persisting this to a database? But on this success case, we can show a notification with Sonar. Should we pass the whole Pokemon? Maybe? Yeah, let's say that this takes like a Pokemon. But we only care about ID and name. I guess we could have a little icon with the sprite of the Pokemon for the toast notification. That's too cute. Displaying. So we'll say we successfully tracked that you drew this. But for this to work, we need to go back to the random and we can just pass the whole Pokemon. We'll magically use just but we only have the ID. Wait. Even though we call it twice, seemingly SvelteKit magic will mean it will only call it once. Great. So now, the moment we press this, we're gonna claim that we've drawn two blade, like dual blade. I get it. I get it. And we should see a toast notification. There you go. Done. Done. And since we're there, we can say there you drawing your drawing of this guy. Try again. And I guess we could try the login thing. So here we press this, error, could not necessarily your drawing of fortress. Try again, and the problem is that you need to be a logged in user. Would the error message have this? I suspect it will just say forbidden. Yeah, for one. So we can say so error instance of error and error status. But it's a different error. What is this? It's an HTTP error. What is it even? HTTP error. Yeah. Ooh, SvelteKit has a handler. That's a helper for this. Oh my god. Svelte has thought of everything. Maybe not. Let's try again. So it feels like this would have been should have been correct. The is HTTP error. Because it claimed that this is an HTTP error, right? Let's see my own solution. But that doesn't exist. It's just like a class, I guess. SvelteKit has created. Just in case the status is something else. Yeah, it's not an HTTP error. So what type of error is it? Any suggestions here? Error here and what? Here in the docs it says whether it's an error thrown by error. It is. So maybe that's a bug that we found. No, are we seeing like two? Just a fool, of course. Error. The SvelteKit has thought of everything. So I was just showing two toast notifications. Come on. You must be looked in to track your drawings. Great. There you go. All right. So this helper method is handy. Works. Beautiful. And now we can design our form a bit further to have like that notes field. So instead of this thing that no one can understand what it means, we can have a little form, just a little form. And let's look at SatCN for inspiration. Like maybe the blocks, do they have like forms or something? Form. Not really. There are like login and these types of forms. All blocks or even more? Oh, I guess in here it has them all, I suppose. Anyway, doesn't matter. Let's just design something ourselves. So we may need like a calendar and like an optional nodes thing. Set, it says. Let's copy everything. Yeah, why not? So all we need is the field imports. So that's n. And let's see what we pasted. Definitely no more script tags. No div. No div, no form. No form, I said. We just want the field group, field set. It's not a group, I suppose. It's just a form field. I guess that's all we needed. It's the label. And we'll add the calendar later, so maybe we can keep the group. Okay, so we can keep the legend in the description too. So this field stays. You can survive. Card number does not. This div does not. And no separators, no nothing else. So all the way to the end. This. Go back from before we pasted all that stuff. Right, we're here. I pasted it in the wrong place. Oops. So what I need is to bring in the field stuff from here. It's up there for niceness. Ah, we do need an input. Do I have an input? Yeah. Okay. So should we say something like or maybe name and say notes. Oh, we're in this, I guess. Notes not required. My editor sometimes trolls me. All right, so we have this thing. We could put this on a card. Do I have cards here? There you go. It's a form in a card. Ah, I like this accent here. Maybe I like it better than what we had before. Oof, I don't have this component, so let's try to add it. Great. Let's search for .js. I dislike it when it explicitly has an extension, especially since we're doing TypeScript here. So what I do is replace this like this. And now we can bring them in. But to import star as card by card. Rather lib components by card. Okay. Do I like this? Maybe not. What if I put this button here? And this can be any size. And this should be border. All right, so let's see all the components we brought in here. Card action, card content. Looks fine. Description. Wait a minute. And keep me on my toes. They have them the other way around sometimes. Even if it's types, I prefer them at the top. All right, so I think this card thing is the one that has the border, and therefore it needs border applied, because I'm not applied it to everything. Okay. And I'm getting there. The thing is that the card root, can this be a form? Yeah, can be anything, I think. What do they do here? Where do they put the form stuff? I guess this action is outside of the form. But let's see if what we can actually do is put the form here. Is that gonna be a thing? Looks like the answer is yes. All right, and this field set, let's put it in the card content. It's looking nice. And it's about legend here. Make this form to track your progress. And yeah, notes optional. What did they try to help me again? Same way by adding this card description. We don't need blah blah blah. Good. But this input, now we are gonna use the spread in. So spread this fields notes as input. Text. So now it's spread it just fine, and we can add the ID for the label. That's it. I also like putting the inputs inside the labels, and then you don't need to type the extra thing. But here, in placeholder, to draw this, submit this form to track your progress, and then you can draw this invalid input. But why? Pokémon ID had issues. Hello Faranglo, how are you doing today? We're playing with SvelteKit Remote Functions forms. Oh, this was outside. So we need to keep it in the form. Don't need these anymore. You must log in to track your drawings. Great. So submitting does not necessarily mean success. If you have a validation error, it will error out. So have the form and the form data. How do I know? I was expecting that submit would be returning you the message from the server if you return something from the function, but I guess the answer is that it doesn't. So that's it's unfortunate. So we'll need to do this a different way. Our success toast. The way I see it, they do have a success true. Nope, not it's the bearer. Success true. So in here, you can check if you have a result and do something if the result is what you expect. And that's what we're gonna try. And we're gonna put the toast there. So in our remote function, as far as I understand, you can return anything, and then SvelteKit will do its magic of typing, and you'll know what you'll be getting on the server, on the client. So if we were writing a blog post and it was our logic that would be transforming our title into a slug, then we could have this return slug, new ID. Or like you'd return the record ID here. But for now, all we need to know is whether this was successful or not. So, on drawn form. But that means that we can have an effect that looks into track Pokémon drawn result success and say if that's happened, then you can do this. Then you can send our success toast. You must log in to track your drawings. Log in. Go here. Successfully tracked, you drew dot here. Two of them? I only want this to happen once. And it's this that runs twice, right? Surely. Long. Yeah, because it's that message. So how come I get this twice? Huh? My problem before with doing the toast after the submit is that it seems that submit will will run even if it fails. So let's double check that. So let's say that the nodes can only be 2 characters. Hello. No success toast, great. Let's design the error. Field error. Anything regarding field errors here in our SATCN error? Oh, there you go. Add data invalid to a field to switch the entire block into an error state. Okay. Right after the input. Can do that. We can do that. After the input. Can we put multiple field errors? Right, too big. Expect a string to have less than 2 characters. Okay, looks nice. And it looks like SvelteKit magic with the remote functions is adding the aria invalid here for us, which is amazing. I didn't expect this. But yeah, aria invalid equals true. So this just works. So remember, I told you that SvelteKit remote functions add quite a lot of stuff, spread quite a lot of stuff. For the form, it was just the method being post and the action to hit, the backend API to hit. But for this one, it is adding for the input, where we're spreading everything that the nodes field needs. It is adding quite a lot of things. Well, I guess the only thing it adds is aria invalid. But hey, that's what we needed. So that's good enough. All right, so the next thing to test is that I claim that, so let's remove this toast and add it here. I think this will appear, yeah, so even this submit happens, but then we don't have success. So that's not great. Can we check this? Will this have updated? Okay, so now it doesn't appear. Great. And if we say hi, chook. All right, so that's what we need to do. No effects, no nothing. Somehow, by awaiting this does get updated by the time we get here. And this gets tracked. Successfully tracked you through Primarina. And we could even focus out of the form, I suppose. And disable this, because we don't want you to draw this like a million times. I've actually drawn this. Yeah, let's not forget. Let's remember that this should be like 500 characters or something. Great. Yeah, so I have actually drawn this. ones that look kind of nice. Not an artist. But when working from reference and working with Pokemon, which have amazing designs that are also quite simple, anyone can do it. Right, so submit this form to track your progress. I think it's looking decent. I would have expected the header from the body to have like a bit more space. So is there anything weird I'm doing here? Yeah, because this has like tons of space. Ah, it must be because we've put the form there. What if we put the form here? Yeah, that's probably more what they want. All right, so this looks fine. On the MD, we may want something more. So when we're like here, can I add a class here? No, maybe in the future. Okay, and the Pokemon card, I guess, is this maxed up pros, which I could add to this. Great. And here, at some point, this should be 2 columns, I guess. Maybe. Three. And this should be great. Kinda. Why is it spacing it like this? Oh, because it's getting 2 columns, of course. But still. Ah, it's the max width. the max width. So if we don't have this, looks kinda nice. That looks shocking. Yeah, not sure about that. Let's say 2 columns. Don't take them all. Don't be greedy. It only happens on LG. Because this is decent. Yeah. And while it's here, I guess in here it could be like 2/3 and 1/3, but hey. I think something for me to think about on my own. Reroll here, great. A bit of extra margin button here, that's fine. Why does this have a margin button? Maybe it doesn't need to. Oh. Okay, let's say this looks kind of nice. It's too big. The moment I say it, I'm like, no. This is also too big. But hey, I think this is enough design for now. Chook. And still works. It's like on a laptop, you can see this. Okay, I think that's fine. Should we talk about superforms? So I've mentioned before that I did refactor the login flow to not use superforms anymore and use the SvelteKit Remote Functions. And with superforms, if you don't know, another one of those amazing Svelte community projects, there is a rework for which may be a full rewrite, because there was a rework in the works for v3 to make it compatible with Svelte runes that came with Svelte 5. And now with remote functions, even more thoughts about having it work with SvelteKit Remote Functions and using the command remote function as well. Not the form one that we've been using, command, which is kind of like the form one, but with even more functionality. And I don't want to do that extra functionality, that command. I don't want the extra power that the command gives you. I just want the handiness of form. But if there is another library that is wrapping around command, then great. The thing with superforms is that it can integrate with Valibot or Zod or whatever, but it had a bit of a similar logic where you need to specify your schema and then you'd be specifying what will happen on the backend on an action, and then you'd have some boilerplate of what type of methods you could return. In any case, my refactor was half the code without the React Superforms and without needing to bring in an extra library. But I do find if you did get into Svelte Superforms, you would be able to fly through the boilerplate and get through it just as fast as if you were working with remote functions. The thing with Superforms is that it does have some nice UX quality of life things, like being unable to submit the form within a few seconds. If the form is already in flight, you can prevent it by default, because that's usually what happens. Like the person just double clicked, they didn't actually want to submit twice. Delay helper method that only activates if the form is submitted and it's taking longer than 300 milliseconds or whatever the default is. Svelte remote functions, when we submit, we can see if we're still pending, which we should use actually. But that happens automatically, which can annoy some users if it's going to be like, it's going to take 50 milliseconds, you just see it flash and it is not giving you any benefit. Let's disabled equals track Pokemon drone pending and flip it. Because I think this is a number of how many times you've tried to submit. So you press this. Now we're writing to localhost, so it's instant. In real life, you would see it be disabled. But another thing that Superforms would help you with is pre-populating the form. So if I go into the profile, and you can see my name here, you'll see that the placeholder for the name input is flashing from having be the placeholder to what's my actual name, because with the SvelteKit Superforms, with the SvelteKit Remote Functions, there isn't an easy way, well, there is no way to pre-populate the form because they don't do anything on the server at the moment. Let me go into that details form. So I have no way to pre-populate the update profile Svelte remote function. You see, we are using form from observer like before, like in our track drawing thing. But there is no way to say the first time in this component, in whichever component I'm using this remote function, I want to pre-populate what is actually in there. So what I need to do is set the fields after the fact, which happens once the component mounts. So anything you write this will happen when the component mounts. It used to be that you weren't really able to write code like this at the root of a component. You'd need to do it on mount here. So you need to do it here when the component first mounts, then you need to run this. But that means that the server sends the component with an empty value, so you see the placeholder. And then this runs on mount and updates it with my username. It makes sense why it's like this. However, I would have loved if I could await this. Ideally, there is a discussion on this matter that doesn't say too much, actually. We feel here. There is a discussion on this, on I want to pre-fill the fields of the form. What do I do? And even though the API is different now, since this is an experimental, remote functions for SvelteKit are still experimental, the answer is, yeah, just set the value. The names are a bit different, so apparently instead of having fields, they were called like input. But the idea is just do this. But this does cause the server DOM elements to be different from what happens right after mount. So you see that placeholder flash. This is not ideal. So I would have loved it if there was a way, much like you can await many things now in modern Svelte, if you could await the form here, if you could await, if there was like maybe a helper method that's like pre-fill, and then you specify like all these things, and then this component will not load, be in the loading state until this happens, or somehow do all the magic so it will be rendering on the server like this with this data pre-filled. Not sure. I know that I would have loved this API to just work, to exist. How to implement it, I don't know. I'm just asking questions. Why is this not there? Anyway, in the meantime, I am living with this Flash. And in the meantime, I know that many people for other projects, maybe more complicated projects, are sticking with super forms because it is very, very handy. Lots of cool UX features that SvelteKit Remote Functions by itself doesn't have at the moment. Similarly to how SvelteKit, by out of the box, you can use forms with it and you can do all of this stuff by yourself, but having super forms take care a bit of the boilerplate for you was handy. Maybe at some point when remote functions stabilize, super forms again will be taking care of some of the quality of life stuff for you. But I think like an API like this does feel possible, and that's really all I need. I won't particularly want to tweak with things like delayed and stuff like that. They're neat, but not essential. I do think an easy way to pre-fill is essential. And you can get around it, I suppose. You could be looking into whether this has any values populated. If it hasn't, then you haven't pre-filled them, so you saw like the placeholder UI or whatever. But the beauty of SvelteKit is that sometimes things just work conveniently how they work in my head. Well, the beauty of SvelteKit with me. For some other people, maybe the way SvelteKit works is annoying, so they don't use it, they will use a different framework. But I think there is a lot of overlap of how I think when I'm building apps and how Svelte and SvelteKit and Rich Harris, I guess, thinks. So I would think that this will make it in. So some sort of this will make it in at some point. Some even cleverer way to achieve this than I haven't even thought about will make it in at some point. Anyway, so pre-populating the fields, if it's important for you, then you may have to deal with some flashes of placeholder into the actual values, or keep using super forms and not remote functions, even though the code is less versus super forms. Less code, less quality of life, I don't know. I think that was the point of the rant. 10-minute run, who knows. Anyway, so I've been claiming we've made this form work. I've been claiming we've made this form work, but does it really? Let's create a table so we can validate whether this thing popping up was actually creating records for us. And SAT-CN does have a rudimentary table for us. Looks like this. Can make it a bit nicer, but that's essentially it. Where would we put it? I think, would it be on the profile? Who knows? Maybe not. Drawings page. Yeah, drawings. So let's create a new route. Should we ask the LLM to do this? Maybe. I'm a bit worried because we do have like a lot of stuff done. Let's at the very least, I looked at all of them. Let's add these things here. . Let's make a few commits. Shotchen Sadoken table component by itself, and let's not mess with the Pokemon card. Did I need this? Let's check. Okay, so I will not actually commit this, but the database schema and the remote function even, and the DB implementation. Oops, we forgot the card. Let's run a format just in case. Okay. Hello, Brolo. Hello from Bali. Hello from Barcelona. Barbell clap. I did lift today. Did you? Yeah, let's commit amend. And the migration. Let's add it in. The Pokemon form. Let's add it in. The remote and the database implementation. All of these things. Let's add them in. Everything except the thing that makes it be visible on the website for now. Yeah. Good. Now I have a bit more confidence to say what I want to say. Profile page. Should it just be drawn? Should we say anything else? Should we implement anything else? Should we just have it do everything? Let's just ask it this and see how it goes. So we need the new route to scaffold it. Then we will need to amend our Pokemon interface. Guess we could have like a drawings interface, and in there we have the track drawing and fetch drawing. Maybe that makes more sense than putting everything in the Pokemon interface. Maybe not. But Pokemon interface, get all drawings from user or something like that. And use a Pokemon SvelteKit Remote Function query to actually fetch all of those. Could you please verify? Ah, right. So an LLM has complete inability to understand curly apostrophes from static ones. Okay. So great, I said in Cloud because it kept changing things. Like I say, who's that Pokemon for the title, and I have a curly bracket there, and it thinks it's bad formatting, and it will change it to have the static apostrophe. Anyway, I've added something to Cloud to say every time you think there is a syntax error, there probably isn't. Just ask me to format stuff. And it should be like drawings. Me drawings from my drawings. Guess you could have drawings that's like the user's drawings, and then like a latest one. Lint failed. So it created this server file with some metadata. Somehow you're not logged in. Well, that's not somehow. We can just call it unauthorized. It created this drone page that has like quite a lot. And I've added these changes to the random route to commit later, because everything will make it to production. Oh, it's an Abra, one of my favorites. All right, so blah blah blah, created this, created that. Great. I will call it drawings. That's being unauthorized. Anyway, right. On the side nav, let's have drawings. Here. But coming soon, that's cute. Well done, LLM. Well done, Claude. And I want like a drawing icon or something. Nope. It's here where you need to search. Drawing compass. I thought it was like an easel or something. What else? This is cute. Easel. Canvas. Nope. Huh. Maybe this. Saludos desde España. Salud. ¿Qué tal? SRZ Learn Code. Yo entiendo español ahora, pero no hablo bien. After maybe 4 years of living in Barcelona. Then again, my Spanish is better than my Catalan, so that's something. So, what do we want here? We want another icon. The audio is a little low. Maybe I was mumbling because I don't have confidence in my Spanish. Maybe it's better when I actually talk like this, normally. Icon. Put it here, here, here. Drawings. All right. There may be space to put it somewhere, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, just call it my drawings. With the alert, it's cute. No need for this. So we could have like some stats here at some point. I suppose we won't be using this because we'll be using SvelteKit Remote Functions. Oh, gracias. Gracias. Every time I get to a bus, I get in a bus, I get told to say it differently. I guess it depends if I get in a bus in Barcelona or in Madrid. So yeah, I told the LLM we'll do it in the next step, and I was like, coming soon. Great, because you can zip this, right? Commit and zip this. This page title. Where else have we used it? Sometimes it does have. This could be a lead, I guess. Have some graphs, we could have some things. All right, so the page is here. We want to use SvelteKit Remote Functions to query the data. Let's go to our interface. by user. Great. And then I guess that's what we need. So is this actually like Pokemon drawing? I guess so. And then we have an array of these things. Am I importing from an emoji? So yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? So this library that we have, let's open this file, which is called unplugging icons. If you also have do I actually have this? Is this a real thing? Did I make it up? Is it Iconify? Yeah, so Iconify IntelliSense, if you have this installed, it will understand you're trying to import from that library and show you the appropriate icon in line. So that's pretty cool. And you can see I always look up the icons that we're going to use here from Iconify Design, but the specific plugin that I'm using to import them into the SvelteKit project is called unplugging icons. And it knows when you do like this squiggly icons, then, oh, you're trying to import something from Iconify Design, and it looks up and knows what is in there. So if it's like, do they have like a plus? To do like a, if it's like material, then you'll definitely have something like login, logout. You can see them saying it's like cross. Not really thing. Anyway, you get the idea. Well spotted. It's one of the fun things for sure, being able to see them here. It doesn't always works, but sometimes it works. Most of the time it works. All right, so Pokemon repo interface, we've mentioned that we want this. Great. In the Pokemon remote function, we want a new query. So this could actually be like a drawings remote function or something. Maybe that makes more sense, but let's say that's something to refactor offline. Get all drawings. And we're going to use query with no parameters because we're going to figure out the user ID ourselves. It's going to be a sync. We're going to use get request event again to get the user here. If no user, we're going to say unauthorized. Does it download locally or later or deploy to Iconify CDN? With Iconify, there are a few ways to do it. Some of them do hit the Iconify API and fetches the SVGs on client side. And plugin icons bundles them into your app as needed. So they are part of one of the bundles that SvelteKit has. The Iconify, the plugin will work if you have one of the other ways to work with Iconify icons. One of them is hit client-side HTTP endpoints. This one, I do prefer to have them bundled in the app. PNPM does install all of the icons locally for me when I'm developing, but not every icon gets shipped in the app. Obviously, just the ones that I've imported. And according to how you bring in the components, like for a page, the bundle will only be the icons you use in a page. If on another page you're drawing every icon, not every bundle of your SvelteKit app will have all the icons in the word. Right, so here we have this, we're doing this, and I think we can write a prompt for this. Should we have cleared? Maybe not. Maybe having all of this in the context, like the schema design and stuff, it's fine. We didn't use CRUD anyway so far. So, read fully. This and the remote. So yeah, this could be a drawings repo. Use SvelteKit Remote Functions. I am saying display latest first. Okay, so that's what I want to say. I want to also show it the random page, so it has a reference of remote, even more references of remote functions. And I also want to try to explicitly use the svelte task thingy. So it will look up the docs by itself if it feels like it needs to, and will definitely use the autofixer in the end. I think we're cooking today. Let me start. It does the thing I would do last, which is use the method that I haven't written yet. Okay, so it is selecting just the things that we need, not the record ID, because I didn't say it. Oh, maybe I want to delete the record. It will need it later because we'll need to use a key for its record as well. So again, it's the formatting that fails, I suppose. It's mapping the result. Imagine you have 1,000 drawings and you just map through all of them, just so instead of undefined you have null. Or instead of null you have undefined, which is worse. Undefined should be if you haven't explicitly set it. Explicitly setting something to undefined is not ideal. And I think I do have a Claude instruction to say, don't do this. Like, do not explicitly set things to undefined. And yet, you did it, Claude. You never learn. You just need to have all your cheat sheets, all the things that I've written for you to crib on. You never learn by yourself, naturally. It seems like the lint will fail again, because I suspect it should have passed. So maybe I should be saying it, run PNPM format first, and do this. Or maybe I should do maybe my linting should just be formatting everything anyway. Ah, everything works. All right, so maybe not quite. Get all drawings from user, just calling this method. Let's see how this method looks like. So just this, just return them all. Orders by this, for this user from the drawings table, just have this. I will return the ID because I do know that there will be what? That I will be needing it. But I can say that this is a string, but the payload, I can omit the ID. And then we'll be happy. So question was, do you ask the AI to nullify the type for some reason instead of changing it yourself? Is it to keep the context? I just spotted that the AI was nullifying the type or making the record instead of null undefined. And I wanted to tell it, it completed all the code. Then it saw that it had a TypeScript error because instead of undefined in that object, it was getting null, and it was trying to fix it by saying, all right, I'll map through everything to make it undefined. And since the AI was doing the work itself, I told it to revert the map that it was doing, and anywhere else it may have done, because I just spotted this, so maybe it was doing it elsewhere. And also add this. Of course, it'd be faster to just type it if it was like this. But yeah, that's the reason why. Like, I didn't know if it was going to do it in even more places. I didn't know if it had already done it into other places, so I wanted to give it the instruction that this is what we need. Right, so here, I suspected this. This should also be omitting. Ah, this should have a schema. Why does this not have a schema? No, it doesn't. That's the thing I made the thing. Right. So I've added this to the interface, but I didn't add it here. Okay, so good. Good for now. Next up, the drawing thing here should have a spinner to begin with. Great. The failed UI is the coming soon. No. It tries to... interesting. Ah, so it's the classic problem that thankfully I spotted now. You don't do SvelteKit style magic await, you do regular await. The regular await, please. So That's way different. I'll need to see how we do it here. We have this component. So yeah, it implemented in a very different way. Before having a regular JavaScript await in components, Svelte had this magic pound await, like it has the pound if, hashtag if, and stuff. This is not what we want to use. We want to use top level await, and we want to give all of this to like a table. So I'll write this myself. Drawings table svelte. May look like the Pokémon card, maybe. Maybe not. Drawings table here. So who knows what we'll have. What did I call it? Pokémon drawing array. So it's gonna take drawings, and then we're gonna do something with the drawings, and then maybe for now here we can do like the let's just do. This is gonna be a table soon. And I guess we need none of these. And here, instead of this, we want drawings table. Drawings await this. Great. Perfect. So why did this happen? We can do like a skeleton UI for this. So why did the LLM make it the old Svelte way? The Svelte autofixer will flag a top level await as an issue because it's an experimental thing, and it doesn't know that in my Svelte config I have set experimental async here. In my code file, I do say, like, if the autofixer is saying that you can't do this, ignore it, you can't do it. We do indeed have explicitly set this enabled here in the Svelte config. So keep going. When this stops being experimental, the autofixer will not flag it, and therefore the LLM will perform better. But for now, it was trying to do the older Svelte way with the hashtag await. But the hashtag await is not the one you can use with Svelte boundaries and the pending UI and all of that. So it goes this like halfway house method that didn't work. Failed. Better UI for this. And let's bring in another token. And the button, I suppose. And I think this is something that gets destructured in error. No, so first and second parameter. All right. So So if it errored, we'd get here. This is going to be a table soon. Sweet. This is going to be a table now. And not a data table, a regular table. This one. Import everything from table. Copy harder. It's unexpected. Did I not bring in the table? Table. No, I didn't. So that kind of makes sense. Component installed. All right, here it is. Let me fix the stuff that annoys me. Before I forget. The explicit JS extension that doesn't exist. And maybe good for accessibility. And what we want next, should we ask the LLM to do this? Because I will need a short break. So let's say read fully, add the sprite information here. Maybe not. Put the drawings in the table and hope for the best. Let's see how it goes, and I'll be right back. Right, I'm back. How did we do? Seems like it did add the Pokemon IDs here, which aren't that helpful. But yeah, I was thinking, it does look like it did bring them in. Great. And I guess, yeah, this should be like border or something. So it's table row. It's a border. folder. Immediately looks better. And it's formatting it somehow. Clearly, it's not my latest, so it's made that wrong too. I think you need to do like dash for descending. There you go, it's descending now. And what we'd actually want is the Pokémon. We are not the Pokémon ID. We won't want to have the date, I don't think. Format date. I've created this, right? Thank the Lords. Oh no, it created it. So that's why I've never had this. But I did use the international daytime format thing, so that's good. That's pretty good. Do I have any formatters here? No, in other projects I have formatters, so that's why I thought maybe it would be here. So it's creating the same date formatter every time. Anyway, we have the Pokemon, we have the DrawMon, we have the notes. Great. We have the ID to differentiate them, also great. I guess we could have had the timestamp. But maybe they've put in the same date. Like this is a timestamp, so it's on milliseconds, so it's not going to be the same ever. That's by the by. The main thing is that we do want its cell to have some Pokemon information here. But we wouldn't want to do one operation per record, like one SQL operation per record, and that's where the query.bats SvelteKit Remote Function exists. So maybe its row could be a drawings row. And it would have this. It's drawing. We could bring it with a Pokemon already. Like, no need to get like crazier. Yeah, no need to get crazier. Surely not. I take it back. So let's go to our interface again to think about this. So the Pokemon drawing. It's not actually what we wanted. It's like Pokemon drawing with Pokemon. Maybe it doesn't have, like, does it need the user ID? Guess not. So we don't need the Pokemon ID, believe it or not. We don't need the user ID, but we do want it to have the Pokemon from here. Maybe not everything. ID, display name, and image. Debut sprite. All right, let's see. So this is what I want this to return, after all. So I can ask the LLM I try to help it more implement. But here, can I say, is this like span? Like the call span 2? Great. So it's gonna be like the sprite. This, perfect. Not a real thing. Perfect. All right, let's see how it does. So it's just a nested, like select, which we've done here actually. Like select Pokemon, select some of this stuff, and just do a join on Pokemon ID with the Pokemon table. So it should be able to do it. Let's see. Oh my god. Oh no. Did I really need to do this mapping? I guess it was doing stuff for the debut sprite. Oh well. Class pixelated, it says. What is it gonna do? It's using the autofixer, even though I forgot to explicitly use the Svelte task. MCP tool, command. Okay. It works. Is it a good choice to use Svelte for the front end and the Spring framework for the backend? I would use SvelteKit for like the full stack app and the things that I want to do in a separate backend. Then, you know, I would do them in a separate backend. I do think SvelteKit is great for that stuff. Usually, I'd say nowadays it's common to have like a Python backend, which I often interface with a SvelteKit app or an Next.js app. But, you know, Spring, Java, or whatever else you want to have, just the same. Streamlit has been something that I've been migrating from in a couple projects. Like, oh, we have this Streamlit thing that just does some stuff. Like, can we have a nice UI for this? And I've used SvelteKit to integrate with that. But yeah, I think that it would work nicely. But I wouldn't just make a client-side only Svelte app or a client-side only React app. I would still make a full stack Svelte kit or Next.js or React Router app. I do think it's easier to just build a client-side app and just put it in a bucket and that's it. But I do think having the ability to do things on the server is handy, even if you have a dedicated backend API that you've built in Spring or whichever else. All the remote function stuff that we're doing here are the backend part of SvelteKit, of the full stack SvelteKit app. And I wouldn't want to lose them. I wouldn't want to have a dedicated backend and then tell them, oh, I need to create this database and you need to expose this endpoint for this. I would keep the Spring stuff or the Python stuff just for dedicated LLM work and just talk to the database directly as needed. Okay, so did I hallucinate it? The pixelated thing? It had hallucinated the pixelated glass. We don't have this. What's that about? So is it putting a limit as well? No, just all of them. So it's doing inner join. Why not left join and left join? Oh well. Then maps the results to get the names. It's trying to check something. It's trying to update the tests. How cute. Ah, that's why it's getting the sprite. That's why it needs all of this. Interesting. If I was just getting the image, then I wouldn't have needed anything more. We may need to refactor this into its own thing. But yeah, I think that's pretty cute. So the other thing I'm thinking is that maybe we would be doing the CRUD operations here. Why is it breaking the tests? So you need to be logged in to do this. Anything else weird that it touched? It's trying to touch the tests for sure. And what? Now I want to pick mobile Safari. See how it goes. Just mobile Safari. So browser. Right, so it is here. What did we do before? It's added this to be visible thing, which is crazy. Maybe not that crazy. So I just wanted to click here, right? That's not quite. What did I name it? Side nav, drawings. It is there. Ah, we're not logged in. So that's why it doesn't exist. Right? Does it exist? They are logged in. So why can't you find this? There it is, get by role link drawings. If I just pick it from the page, will it be happy? It looks like it. And it looks like the title is this. Let's see it again. It does think that it's still in the random Pokémon page, which doesn't make sense. So from here, it goes to here, and it does update the page correctly. Is it because there is like a bit of animation happening? Should I be waiting for this to not be visible? Wait, it has to be hidden. Okay. And and for the desktop one, who knows why? Let's just revert. If you are logged in, maybe you can see them. So let's see. If we have a user, maybe it will just be that icon. And that icon is this. Right, so we want this to go here. Only shows if you're logged in, you're the big page. All right, let's see if that works. The answer is yes. And what else should we be doing? That's it, element. Don't tell me it doesn't exist. Yeah, I think I will just have it like this. And the mobile spec. Still pass. Good. What are you doing? Okay, so it's good that it kind of forced us to include this into our navigation smoke test. But it's bad in that it couldn't debug. It's like, oh, the side nav is not showing. Did it mess with even more tests? Oh, it added city in the oh, it added specs, didn't it? So why are the navigation not there? Don't understand. Ah, this still happens. The title doesn't update. So this seems to be a real problem. I don't know if it actually happens in real life, but it looks like the title of the app doesn't update every time. Who's that Pokemon? Random drawings. Random check. Profile drawings. Random. Maybe it happens because Playwright is so fast, but not sure. And we'll need to fix it at some point. And it happens in Firefox as well. So the other one was flaky, but it did appear. The meta title didn't update. Oh well. And yeah, I don't know why they are in the integration directory, not the end-to-end directory. Anyway. Where were we? We have these things that look like this. The page is kind of cute. I think that's the thing I was seeing. Looks decent, I would say. So we would need like a column for actions to do like some CRUD operations. But I would save this. And what does lint say about all of this? It says it's fine. So we've added the drawings and the side nav. No empty states so far. yeah, I think those are gonna be things that I will do offline because we've crossed the 3-hour mark. I don't know what the next episode is going to be about. We still have more stuff to show, potentially. Pre-render is a cool one, where this will only run when you build the app. And we could use it, for example, because we have the get random Pokemon ID, which is not actually using a count from the database for how many Pokemon IDs there are, but it could. I wouldn't want this to run on every request because that'd be insane, or every time that we want a random Pokemon ID, so every time we press this button, not what we want. But if we just run this every time the app deploys, every once in a blue moon, or every day, like we deploy a lot. But anyway, if it's by the time it gets to the user, this is already a number, thanks to this pre-render method, I would, instead of manually updating this. Or having a list of like the Pokemon IDs. I guess the idea is that some Pokemon have alternate forms and they start at like 10,000, so 10,005 or something. So we could keep a record of like this map of IDs, an array of Pokemon IDs that exist, instead of doing it like this. And I would use pre-render for that because I wouldn't want a database query every time we do this. Something we didn't talk about today was buttons. Initially, a way I thought about getting the Pokemon information was each one of these rows would be responsible of doing a database request to get the Pokemon information. But we would be using query.bats in order to combine all of these requests of like every row into the one SQL statement that would fetch all the information that we need to make us not do n+1 query. So if we have 1,000 drawings, we would be doing get me all the drawings and get me 1,000 Pokemon details, 1,001 queries. But I figured that we could fetch the Pokemon details along with the drawings. So instead of 2 queries with query bats, we'd be doing just the 1 query in the initial query. So we could get this on just the 1 query, and that's exactly what we've done. But we could also show the more fancy enhanced data table that SATC has, that has built-in search and filtering logic. I think that'd be neat. Some sorting too. So that would be cool. Client-side sorting and pagination as well. But it remains to be seen. Another thing that I would enjoy would be creating a Pokemon MCP server for LMs and others to use. It would be fun to have like a bit of a game in the guessing game where you can say, an input where you can say, I think it's routes. But again, like this is Cubone. Does it have like an E at the end or not? It would be nice if you can use natural language and account for some spelling mistakes in order to know whether you got it correct or not. But for that, I could create a Pokemon MCP server that understands, normalizes how you call this Pokemon. Is it the correct Pokemon name? Like if you said Brachy for Umbreon, it should understand that this is the correct answer. It's just a Japanese name for Umbreon. It's Marowak. What? What's Cubone? Like, which language is this? Did I dream this? Does it evolve? Ah, it evolves to Marowak. Wow. Learned something today. They look so alike, so they got me. Anyway, Ninetales. Right. So, what was I talking about? Pokemon MCP server people love creating MCP servers nowadays. I do think it's one of these things that are actually useful. Using the Svelte MCP server has been tremendous in making the LLM be actually helpful and not just spit out bad JavaScript code or bad React code that even if this was a React app, it wouldn't really work. So I would be keen to try my hand into creating an MCP server, and we already have a Pokémon app, so why not a Pokémon MCP server? Also, there's the Min-Max Game Jam last year. We took an entry with the Ice Cream Sundae, if you remember. Maybe I could do more game dev. Let me know your suggestions, and we'll see what we'll do. In the meantime, I will clean this up. We could be doing like another thing that I would want to do would be the update and delete operations. So delete would just be a trash can icon here. But then if you do update, so question from SRC Learn Code. I am reading the YouTube comments for sure. So if you have a question, ask me there. Discord as well. You can see the link in the Discord. You can post something in general or something like that. I do read the Discord too. So either one of those should work to reach out to me and give me suggestions on what to cover next. So the delete operation that, clearly I misclicked with all of these. Should be kind of easy to do to delete the record. But then we'd also want the edit interface, so we can open like a calendar component since the date or update the notes that we have here. And maybe in the future, file uploads. What if I want to upload my drawing? And that opens up a whole new thing with Cloudflare and the storage solutions there. And image optimization and stuff like that. Speaking of image optimization, let's see, drawing stable. Once again, it didn't specify width and height for this. It never learns. Even though I do think I've specified something of the sort in CloudMD. Anyway, it did that links to actually see that Pokémon. Cute. A detail card there. Neat. So this card, if it's not contained to prose, is gonna be huge. But yeah, that's an interesting idea. We could have a hover card here that also shows a bit more information. But yeah, I like this. So this is a rare LLM dub. But for now, I think this is it. So lots of things, keep extending this app, do the CRUD operations, file uploads maybe, or Pokemon MCP server, which this app would use as well. Maybe a chat interface where you're like, oh, give me a Pokemon silhouette. It gives you the silhouette, shows you, and you can respond and say, oh, it's Pikachu. And it tells you, no, would you like a hint? It's an evolution of Pikachu. It's like, it's right, so come on. But yeah, could be fun. But this will be it for today. Thanks a bunch for choosing to spend a little bit of your time with me. Once again, the live app, you can click around. Once I get the things in order that we've done today, I will expose the tracking functionality. Let me know if you actually do use this to see like the rerolls or play the guessing game, or if you, like me, you are in a let's learn how to draw journey and are also tracking which Pokemons you're drawing every day. I would love to know. I do like to find apps that make for good platforms to teach things that I'm interested in that you can use in like regular work or whatever. But I do think this one, like, people may use. I'm not much into AI because I want to learn to code, but it seems your workflow is quite smooth. Yeah, I've been doing YouTube for a while and doing coding for 20 years. And only recently in the live streams I've started experimenting with LLMs and using LLMs how to code. I guess for the past 3 years I was using the autocomplete heavily So when VS Code, you start saying things like const isemail regex, and then it spits out a regex and you type autocomplete. I always found that useful. And for things like SQL statements, that was always quite good. But for many things like Svelte code, it was quite bad. And now I've been experimenting with, will it actually make me faster? I think it's making me slower because I am a Svelte expert, if I may say so myself, front-end principal software engineer, full stack and all of that. But I do find telling off the LLM or trying to guide it in the right direction kind of tricks me into thinking I'm pair programming with like another engineer, which motivates me to keep going and work more on the side project. So it has that effect on me. And it's not making me faster, but I think it's making it more pleasurable. And always, before LLMs and before anything like that, I always thought the least interesting thing or useful thing is if you knew how to do like a reduce, which is bad for me because I was amazing at doing reduce for everything. Like I remember the array methods and all of that, but I don't think that's useful. Things you can Google are not useful. So using AI to help with that, I think that's great. Kind of like how we use Prettier for formatting things without needing to put anything else into the equation. The AI can just remember and do it well. But with LLMs and code, it won't always do it perfectly like Prettier does with the formatting. So using it with MCP servers to make the output a bit better, kind of good, but still. And of course, for creative stuff and generative AI to replace like drawing and art and music and stuff, no, I would say that I want the human element here and I wouldn't want to touch it for that sort of thing. Doing game dev, I wouldn't use it for the art, for example. I'd rather, go on Fiverr and find somebody. But then, how would I know that somebody is not using generative AI to do this? So I'd rather have a friend of mine who works in a studio make the art for that. Anyway, random, random rant for sure. It's something we're all trying to figure out, how you can use LLMs to help you build the apps and the features and whatever you need. Because the detail of how you do a reduce is not the most interesting thing. There are things that you should learn and you should know, like the architecture. How would this be performant? Why wouldn't it be performant? Why does this affect UX? Franglo is talking about Biome. I have tried Biome, but I'm not not in this project yet. Maybe I'll try it for the next project that we'll try. I am using Oxlint for the linting. So instead of ESLint, I've switched this project to use Oxlint, which I found much, much faster and less annoying than ESLint. And I'd be open to have the Oxide ecosystem do the formatting for me. But I always found Prettier is quite fast and I've been so happy with it. So I'm not that keen to replace it. With Biome, I guess the history of the creators, like having Rome, kind of abandoning it, going for Biome, change the version there, makes me have not the most confidence that this is going to be maintained and become like something super popular. But I'll play it by ear, so maybe I'll give it a try in the next project, as I said. But yeah, I always found Prettier super fast. Even now in the linting step, I was considering, should I just after linting format with Prettier because it's so fast? But it's and of course, like every time I save, Prettier runs and it just works. It's instant as far as my human eyes are concerned, so not a problem. The speed of ESLint was super slow, so super annoying. So I am very happy that Oxide is doing something on that, and I think Biome is also doing something for linting as well. So I'd be interested into seeing how Biome does for linting, but I found Oxide to be better, so I was using it for that. The premise of all-in-one is good if everything in the all-in-one is working well, so I'd be willing to give it a try. And yeah, linting step, let's try it again. So first of all, it's running the Oxlint with the type-aware mod that also finds some TypeScript things. It's a bit slower, but does find some TypeScript things. Has got some TypeScript things, and it's still like fast enough. And then I'm just doing the prettier check, which I may just do a prettier right there. And it's, you know, pretty fast anyway. So not a real blocker. Well, ESLint, yeah, those seconds were adding up and making me feel slower. Let me open the link. Biome, yes. So we're talking about this. It's gaining popularity, so you need to try it here. How many files? 2,000 files. Well, that's not an unreasonable amount of files, I suppose. And that's insane. And the other tool, talking about the Oxide ecosystem, is this. They have quite a few things working on a formatter. So if they bring in prettier, I would jump in because I am very, very happy with their linter, Oxlint here. But yeah. As always, thanks for shouting out cool projects to check out. Speaking of LLMs as well, with SvelteKit, I did find if you're a PM and you're not an engineer, you may be happy with it, but it just generates too much fluff and not enough code in the end, just too much for me. I did try Taskmaster, and in the end, like, again, too much configuration. I do think my approach of creating like the one big prompt seems to be doing the best results for me. But again, we'll keep experimenting and we'll all be together to see how this evolves. All right, so again, thanks a bunch for watching. Keep tabs on the DrawMon app, and we'll see when you'll be able to track your progress. We'll also be setting up a cron to actually clean up the softDelete records. So maybe that's a live stream that, do deletion and solve deletion and do a cron to clean up for you every month. Maybe that's a cool subject that should be kind of a quick live stream. But until then, thanks again everyone for watching, especially the people in the chat keeping me extra special company. I hope you have a lovely Sunday and an amazing week to come. See ya.